Chapter 16. Sometimes things are easier if you don't say what you think. Guess what? I have got the part of Liesel. What happened was Mrs. Wilburton came up to me as if it was all her idea in the first place and says, I have decided that you can play the part of Liesel Von Trapp, but there will be no more cheekiness, any bad behavior, or you're out. Do you understand? Of course I say, yes, Mrs. Wilburton, even though I do not agree with what she has said, and it is not fair because I have not been cheeky, and nor have I been up to any bad behavior. But I remember Ruby Redford's rule of don't argue with people who are about to give you what you want. Let them think they are in charge. That is something Ruby Redford herself is not good at. She always argues. At break time, Mr. Pickering says he is so impressed by Carl's good piece of writing in Mr. Washington's class and the new effort of being less badly behaved that he can have his job back, doing the sound effects of the school play. Carl is really pleased because whatever he said about not caring was not actually true, and he did not care actually quite a lot because he had gone to a lot of trouble collecting up sounds and fitting them in the right places. Not that he says anything about it to me. In fact, he doesn't say anything to me at all. We have to do rehearsals at lunchtime, and it's quite fun because finally I have something to say and I can remember it all. My cousin Noah is playing the part of Rolf now, which is fine because I don't mind holding his hand, because at least I know where it has been, i.e., not up his nose. Thank goodness Rolf isn't Robert Granger or Toby Hockling. Robert Granger is clomping around the stage, and I must say he does not look one bit how anyone would imagine Captain Von Trapp to look, although he is a surprisingly good singer. And his talking and his singing is a much nicer noise than his talking. We have to wear our costumes, which means it is called a dress rehearsal. Performing the whole play in your costume and everything, but with no audience. And Susie Wu has forgotten her Maria apron, so she has to borrow one from Mrs. Usman, the lunch lady, and it has Apple Brown Betty on it. When she comes on, Carl does a really good sound of the wind blowing because at the beginning she's meant to walk up a mountain. And when Mrs. Wilburton walks onto the stage to tell Alexandra Holker to stop chattering, Carl does a slightly different windy sound, which is rude. And Mrs. Wilburton says, Carl, what was that noise? And Carl says, sorry, Mrs. Wilburton, it went off by accident. And Mrs. Wilburton is so astonished to hear Carl say sorry that she forgets to tell him off. And even though everyone knows he did it on purpose to be funny, he has gotten out of trouble by using the simplest Ruby Redford's rule. Sometimes it is smart to say sorry, even when you are not. I'm quite excited about my outfit. Mom has made it for me, and it is really fairly twirly, and I spend most of my time twirling. I'm still hoping my Ruby Redford fly hair clip arrives this week, since I would really like to wear it for the play, since I have decided Liesel is the sort of girl who would wear a Ruby Redford hair clip. Zarina says it is good to put some of your own personality into a character you are playing, so this is my own idea of what Liesel is like. At the pegs after school, I bump into Carl Renbury getting his coat. He sort of looks at me, and I think he might even say something, but then Toby Hockling comes barging along and starts giving Carl a Chinese burn, and they start wrestling on the floor. So I go off to find Betty. Me and Betty are walking to drama workshop, and we are all excited as we only have 1 week to go before the performance. And I hope I do not forget any of my lines and end up standing there like a lemon, a non-speaking lemon. Zarina has said, sometimes people do forget their lines, but it is all due to nerves. And then there suddenly is Mrs. Stampney. She tuts at us because me and Betty are sharing a bag of jelly beans. I offer her one, and she says, they'll rot your teeth, you know. And I want to say, at least I've got teeth to rot, but I don't, because Mom would say, that's rude, and however Mrs. Stampney is to you, there's no need to sink to her level. At drama workshop, Zarina says, we will be doing some improvising, which just means making it up as you go along, and whatever might have happened to you, for instance, today, is something that you can use and turn into drama. Me and Betty do a drama about an old witch who tries to steal young children's teeth. Zarina says it is full of depth and is an interesting allegory about adults spoiling childhood dreams. I am not sure what an allegory means, and neither is Betty, but when Moll comes to pick us up, she says, it can be a story that tells you two things at the same time, the actual story and then also an underlying, slightly disguised message. We are obviously much more clever than I thought we were. And it's the sort of thing Ruby Redford might use, a story that she could say in public which had a secret meaning to it, so only Clancy Crew would understand. We tell Mal how in drama workshop, Zarina has been talking about how important it is to watch the way other people act. This is one good way of learning the craft.